What's up, Ragin Nation? How's it going? This is Alex Yu. You are watching the Marvel edition of the Ragin Nation Show. This is just a web series where we're talking about all things that matter to me in the world of Marvel films. This is episode number 8, and before we begin with the news, let's do a couple of shoutouts. Just a couple of days ago, I mentioned on Instagram that I was going to watch a Marvel film on Blu-ray, and I posted a photo of this. I don't know if you can see it, but basically it's the Marvel logo, and the question was, it's Marvel movie night, guess which one I'm watching, alright? And you guys were supposed to post the answer below in a comment. And I want to give a big shout out to the people who guessed right. So, let's start with
Robert, and Drake 3000, and also Angle Whitehair 1, and Super Timo 96, and also Big Boy Styes 20, Kenny 321, VO, I'm just scrolling through here. Alex Ortiz 1995, Autobot Samurai 07, J Money Simmons, The Midget King Adam Pro Radioactive, Raz Muster Kianen, and The Amazing Afro Remix Radio Pix Mix, Baseball Kid 8701, Sai Tanola.
And there you have it. That's all I gotta say for all the shout-outs. So thanks a lot, guys, for participating and guessing right, and also for those who didn't guess right, also thanks a lot for your comments and participating. If you want to be a part of all this funness, follow me on Instagram at the Ragin Nation, and I post a lot of really hilarious stuff on there, so be a part of all the silliness. Anyways, let's get on with the news, and the first thing we got to talk about is 20th Century Fox, because they are putting their marketing machine for X-Men Days of Future Past in full swing, because they just put out the latest image from, or rather a still from the movie, and what you see here is an image from that they posted on Entertainment Weekly, and it is Quicksilver running on walls. And it's a pretty interesting scene. You know how they say that a picture tells like a 1,000 words or whatever? Well, there's a lot going on here. It's not just Quicksilver running on walls. First of all, I gotta say that no matter what, he's still a punk, okay? I'm gonna keep on calling him that just because of the way he looks. He's wearing this silver jacket, which is just looks ridiculous on him. He's got this white hair. He's also wearing these goggles, and his mutant ability is to be able to move really fast. So that's his advantage. He can just run really fast or get from point A to point B really fast, and he can do things to you without you even noticing because he's gonna be really quick about it. But if you look in the background, you see Logan, Magneto, and also Professor X. And if you're really observant, you will notice that Professor X isn't sitting on a wheelchair. He's still standing, which suggests that this particular scene takes place before X-Men First Class, because he hasn't been shot in the back you know, that which screwed up his spinal cord, thus requiring him to be on a wheelchair. So this particular scene actually takes place before X-Men First Class, and well, I think you guys already know by now that X-Men Days of Future Past is a film that involves time travel, alright? And what's also very interesting is that you see he's either a cop or a security guard, but you see the back of the security guard, and the way he's posed suggests that he's holding his guns like that. And what's also interesting is that none of the heroes or protagonists are looking at this security guard, which suggests that they're surrounded in this scene, but we're only seeing one of these cops, right? So what's going on here is that Quicksilver is doing his thing in being quick, and he's most likely going to subdue these security guards or cops by being really quick and snatching their weapons, or he's going to put them all down or whatever. But anyways, like I said, just from looking at this photo, you can tell that a lot of stuff is going down. So very cool scene. If you want to comment about it, I posted the photo on the Ragin Nation Facebook page for you to check out. All right. Now moving on, let's talk about another thing about 20th Century Fox, is that producer Lauren Sholin Donner expressed her interest in having a Mystique standalone film. And that is very interesting to me, because not only did she just suggest Mystique, but she also wanted a Gambit standalone film and also a Deadpool standalone film, which means that, like I said before, with regards to Sony and Marvel Studios, is that they want to expand the universe. Of course, with Marvel Studios, they have the Avengers and all its characters, and they want to expand it by exploring all the other characters in solo movies. Same thing with Sony and SpiderMan, the Sinister Six, and Venom. They want to expand that universe. Well, it's no different with 20th Century Fox, because they don't just have X-Men, but they also have Fantastic Four, and all of the X-Men individual mutants, and a lot of mutants that we haven't seen yet. So they're really expanding this universe. Now, none of this is confirmed yet. She only mentioned that she would love to see a Mystique standalone film in an interview. Same thing she mentioned about Gambit and Deadpool. Now, if they're going to have a Mystique standalone film, most likely it's going to be Jennifer Lawrence's portrayal of Mystique and not Rebecca Romaine Stamos' portrayal of Mystique. The reason why is because, well, between the two, which one is the more bankable star? You know, Jennifer Lawrence is a superstar, and people want to pay a movie to watch her films. So obviously, she's going to sell more tickets than Rebecca Romaine Stamos, obviously, if she were to portray Mystique. But at the end of the day, you're still going to bring in X-Men fans. Now, this would be a very, very, I guess a bold move, because now they're thinking about actually making a female. They're going back to bringing back a female, I guess, standalone mutant character, or rather a Marvel character, to carry a film. Now, the last time they did that was with Elektra, and that didn't quite work out. But I think that with Mystique and Jennifer Lawrence playing Mystique, and with the direction that the X-Men films are going, I think that it can work, alright? And I think that it's about time that we got more individual character spin-off films. So I'm interested in watching that, and I hope it happens. No word on when it's going to come, but it can happen sooner than later, I suppose. Alright, so there you have it. That's all I got to say with regards to 20th Century Fox. Now let's talk about Sony. And with Sony, of course, they own the Amazing Spider-Man franchise. And it doesn't just stop at the Amazing Spider-Man as a character, but also all the villains. We are talking about Sinister Six and Venom, because Sony wants to make movies out of both properties, both Venom and Sinister Six, and looks like they have locked in their director for a Sinister Six film, and that would be Drew Goddard, or is it Drew Goddard? Anyways, Drew Goddard is locked in as the director for the Sinister Six film, and Drew Goddard directed Cabin in the Woods, so he's no stranger to evil. I think Drew Goddard could be the right director of choice for the Sinister Six film. And Venom already has a director, and that would be Roberto Orci. Roberto Orci of the writing duo, you know, Roberto Orci and Alex Kurtzman. Well, Roberto Orci is attached to direct the Venom film, and his writing partner, Alex Kurtzman, he is writing the Venom spin-off and also the Amazing Spider-Man 3. So there's a lot going on there. So both Venom and Sinister Six both have directors. Now, something that's very interesting is that Drew Goddard is also attached to direct the 10-episode Daredevil series for Netflix. So he's got a lot on his plate going on with regards to Marvel properties. But of course, for me, the more exciting one is the Sinister Six movie. Because how are they going to have a movie just on villains, you know, based off of villains? How are they going to do that? That's very, very curious to me. Now, they don't have any date locked in for either a Venom or Sinister Six, but they do have a date locked in for the Amazing Spider-Man 4, and that is May 4th of 2018. So let's just talk about the timeline here. The Amazing Spider-Man 2 comes out next month, so 2014. The Amazing Spider-Man 3 comes out in 2016, so 2 years from now, which is, you know, a good time gap, all right? But the Amazing Spider-Man 4 also comes out 2 years from that point on, which is May 4th, 2018. Now, it looks like that it's possible that the Sinister Six and Venom film could come before an Amazing Spider-Man 4 film. The reason why is because Sony producer Matt Tolmach mentioned that it looks like they're not quite ready for an Amazing Spider-Man 4 film. First of all, Mark Webb is not attached to direct. Andrew Garfield mentioned that he's no longer interested in doing it after the 3rd film. So essentially, they have their main players not interested to make a 4th film. So what does that leave you with? Not a whole lot. You kind of have to work from scratch. So therefore, he decided that it's possible that they're not ready for The Amazing Spider-Man 4. Now, what does that mean for the release date? They locked in The Amazing Spider-Man 4 for May 4th, 2018. Well, it looks like either Venom or Sinister Six will be taking that time slot for 2018. So that means that The Amazing Spider-Man 3 is coming in 2016. Either Venom or Sinister Six is coming in 2017. And then the other film, either Venom or Sinister Six, will be coming on May 4th of 2018. And The Amazing Spider-Man 4 will be pushed back to whenever. Okay, so there you have it. That's pretty crazy. I mean, that is quite a ways from now. We're talking about 3 years from now before we get to see one of these these evil villain spin-off films. Now, my big question is, how are you going to make a villain film work? I mean, we've seen Marvel movies about heroes, superheroes. They have to save the day. There's got to be a beginning, middle, and end, and essentially a happy ending. What are they going to do with a Sinister Six film and a Venom film? Now, I can understand talking about an Origins film, but only a small percentage of American film audience, or rather Western film audiences, are ready for films with unhappy endings. Now keep in mind that we're talking about Drew Goddard directing. If you remember Cabin in the Woods, you'll know what I'm talking about with regards to a happy ending, or rather lack of. So it could happen. It could possibly happen that we're going to be seeing Sinister Six and Venom from a completely villainous perspective. Now, this isn't like the only movie that's done this. I mean, there's a lot of movies where you only see the perspective of the villain. Maybe they're doing the route, I mean, the direction of Reservoir Dogs. You know, Reservoir Dogs is a film that's completely about bad guys. Maybe they're doing that, and we're supposed to sympathize with these villains, and somehow they're able to make the cops who are trying to take them down look like bad guys. Alright, so who knows? But anyways, that's a very interesting approach, and let me just repeat that Drew Goddard is attached to direct Sinister Six. Roberto Orci is attached to direct Venom, okay? We're getting either one of those films in 2017 and 2018. The Amazing Spider-Man 4 is pushed out to who knows when, alright? So that's what's going on, alright? And finally, let's talk about some reactions to The Amazing Spider-Man 2. It looks like people have seen it already, because if you don't already know, the cast and crew, or cast and the producers, the directors, they're making rounds around the world right now, doing the premiere. And right now they're in UK, and they're doing the premiere for the UK. And looks like a lot of reactions have been tweeted. And I'm gonna read you some of the tweets, and I'll let you know that it's very mixed. It's like all over the place, okay? Let's start off with O'Lily Telton says, The Amazing Spider-Man 2, terrible. Not so much a movie as a bunch of scenes, almost none of which are any good. Ben Mortimer tweets, in spite of slightly shaky opening, I really enjoyed The Amazing Spider-Man 2. Garfield and Stone are fantastic, wonderful chemistry. Emma Dibdin tweets, The Amazing Spider-Man 2 is tonally all over the place and bungles some key beats, but it's hard to dislike a movie so goofily open-hearted. She also mentions Garfield and Stone chemistry still enduring, and Dane DeHaan is a force of nature. Script is really, really heavy-handed. Den of Geek says The Amazing Spider-Man 2 is better than The Amazing Spider-Man 1. And then next we have Francesco Cerniglia. The Amazing Spider-Man 2 gets it all quite right. Emotional punches, humor, thematic strength, and character development. Andrew Garfield is superb. Sarah Rappaport tweets, I have major quibbles with The Amazing Spider-Man 2, but Andrew Garfield is terrific and the film has a great sense of humor. She also tweets, there are some surprises in Spider-Man though, which is more than I can say for some other comic book films. So that's something positive. Alex Boltwood tweets, Amazing Spider-Man 2 was almost amazing, far too much Avengers-style world building and tone is all over the place, but still very good. Finally, he also tweets, also, makers should probably look up subtlety in the dictionary. There's way too much foreshadowing. Finally, Craig Stevens tweets, really enjoyed The Amazing Spider-Man 2. Andrew Garfield is fantastic, closest comic book to screen Spidey so far. So, majority is positive, but still, the more mixed reactions, the more negative reactions are mentioning that the movie is just tonally all over the place. It's kind of messy, alright? So, there you have it. I really enjoyed The Amazing Spider-Man 1, and I have faith in Mark Webb. Sure, there's lots of villains in this movie, but it looks great according to the trailers. So, something I'm looking forward to. Anyways, that's all I gotta say in this video. I know it's a lot of stuff that I talked about, but the question of the day that I want to ask you guys is, this is Quicksilver in X-Men Days of Future Past. This is Quicksilver in the Avengers. Which one do you think is the better Quicksilver in terms of appearance, okay? That's a tough one to answer because I think both costumes are very underwhelming, but Quicksilver was never overwhelming to begin with. He was never, you know, it's not like he wore cool suits of armor or anything like that. He's just a guy in a light blue lightning suit. So, if anything, I gotta say that the Avengers version is less punkish, at least. And it's Aaron Taylor Johnson, who's a really cool dude. Anyways, that's all I gotta say in this episode. Stay tuned for episode 9. And as always, if you enjoyed this video, hit the like button, subscribe to the YouTube channel, like me on Facebook, The Ragin Nation, follow me on Twitter, @RaginNation, check out my photos on Instagram, @TheRaginNation. My name is Alexi, thanks for watching, I'll see you next time, peace. And then... that sequence was great, okay? That was like a crowd-pleasing sequence, you know what I'm saying? That was excellent. And so that was when she totally won me over.